Hey everybody, it's Briggshill here, and I've got another 1v1 for you here. We have, in the blue corner, spawning northwest, playing as the Germans, Helping Hands. In the bottom right corner, playing as the Russians. In the red, we have Con. Now, I'm told that this is a very enjoyable replay. I've not seen it before, and so we'll try and watch it now. And we'll see how we get on. Russians have brought a con squad into play almost straight away, which is their norm. The Germans are trying to place this building down, but for some reason, I don't know why, but that has been destroyed. Maybe there's a strategy to this, maybe it's a bug, I don't know, but at the moment that building's been destroyed twice before it's gone down, and finally it goes down. That seems quite a strange little ploy there, as two grenadier squads already get queued up to come out, and their point is this middle point right here. So, Con's taking this middle ground, looking like they're going to move towards the open area, which is this kind of field area here. 2 or 3 fields that just have completely open ground. Fuel is also being taken on the left hand side as Cons move to the right. Grenadiers on the field for the Germans as a second pair of grenadiers comes into play. Now the Russians are moving even further forward. That first grenadier squad is going to move towards the location where the Cons are now taking. And there may be a little bit of a fight here. Fight very early. HMG squads on the making for the Germans. As Grenadiers take a little bit of fire. They will continue to take fire. As the Cons will move into... Will they move into that building? No, the Germans will go into that building. And maybe the Cons will put a Molotov in there. No, an Ooh-yah, and they... Ooh-ah, whatever bloody ability makes them run away really quickly. 2 sets of grenadiers on the field though for the Germans, and those Cons are going to move away, probably towards this middle star. Cons have taken their ammunition sector. The other Cons are moving into the right side of this map, or the east side, as these engineers are about to get engaged by the pioneers as they take this farthest west point. Grenadiers have taken the point back from the Russians in the middle there, or to the west of the star, and will proceed to take the next point as the Cons have got the middle star. HMG squad is just coming into play here as pioneers are engaged by the engineers of the Russians as another HMG comes in. And we have ourselves a little fight between Grenadiers and Cons. The Cons are in decent shape, but they are starting to lose men here, as are the Grenadiers for that matter. But I think the Grenadiers are going to win out here, and the Cons are going to have to fall back because they are under a little bit of pressure here. Yeah, Cons will retreat out. In the meanwhile, the Cons to the north east are taking the 3rd star, as another set of Cons coming to engage this infantry, but this infantry is in cover here, so the Cons aren't going to do that much of a job here. Pioneers taking this bottom west star, as engineers just sit and do nothing at the moment. HMGs put into a building to the north of the star and will start to cover this area. Battle phase 1 is completed for the Germans, which means they are going to start, I think probably will bring in Panzer Grenadiers, or they may miss it and go to Panzer IVs maybe. We'll see very soon, I'd imagine. Pioneers coming in. As another Pioneer set will move towards this fuel depot, as the north flank is being captured ceremonially by these con squads. Cons engaging the grenadiers from the church, but they're too far away now, as the HMG seems to just sit and watch this point. Another HMG also sits on the north of the star. Engineers are moving right round the back here for the Russians, and I'd imagine now that the Panzer Grenadier building coming down, or the mechanised company, which allows you to bring out half-tracks, scout cars, Pak-40s and the Panzer Grenadiers, they haven't got enough for any of those just yet. They haven't got enough fuel. And the Germans are in a little bit of trouble here. They are losing ground. They're losing little bits of area here, but they will try and take this, or stop this point from being taken by the Russians with a couple of grenadier units as they move in to engage. Grenadier units doing a job there of pulling those infantry off the area, but they were captured in time. A little bit of grenade going into the building there as it kills a couple of those engineers, and the engineers will probably have to back out of this building and retreat because they are losing quite badly at the moment. HMG pinning down this con squad, trying to take this position to the southwest of the middle star, as cons take a fuel depot to the southeast of this west star. But the cons are kind of like going between the lines here and taking points off the Germans, to the Germans' annoyance, I'd imagine. They've cut a couple of the places off now for the Germans, and the Germans will have to start being more manoeuvrable here with their units, because at the moment, although they're taking the left flank away from the right flank for the Russians, they're losing ground in other areas as well, as the middle star's going down for the Russians. Grenadiers will have something to say about that, I'd imagine, as does an HMG as well, as they get engaged. This point to the southwest of the middle star is being taken by the Germans, but the west star is being taken by the Russians, and that's a little bit of an advantage now for the Russians as they take a small lead on points. Scout half track comes into play here. I'd imagine that once Helping Hands has enough ammunition, he may want to put a flame on that, but we'll see what happens. Although there's a little bit of spent there as Grenadiers move forward against these infantry. Now this con squad has moved right behind the back of this MG unit, and if it had a Molotov, it might have been able to do a good job there, but I don't think they've got the Molotovs available to them as they retreat out. Molotovs haven't, or anti-tank grenade packages haven't been upgraded yet for the Russians, as the Germans now start to try and take control of some of this map. The cons are doing a really good job of just walking straight through lines here to stop the Germans from taking any real control of the map, which is obviously what the Russians want to do. Germans are getting back some of their points though, and the northeast star is going down for the Germans, so the Germans will start to take a lead here as the points seem to draw level. Panzer Grenadiers engaging this con squad, and the closer the Panzer Grenadiers get, the more damage that the con squad will take because of the these automatic rifles that the the Panzer Grenadiers carry, and the cons could get completely wiped out. That was a good move by the Panzer Grenadiers, because that means that the cons, or the Russians, are one squad down, where they could have retreated and got some of them men back. T-70 on the field for the Russians as they move towards trying to really damage the Germans. And the T-70 is a horrible little tank to try and take out when you've got nothing. I mean, a Pak-40's just come out onto the field for the Germans, so they've read this decently, but unfortunately the T-70 is doing enough of the damage here to almost warrant the money that was spent on it, or the resources that were spent on it. Grenadiers and Panzer Grenadiers have taken some heavy hits there, as did the MGs, as the Russians are slowly fighting back here. There's a scout car in the field, as the half-track is also on the field. Panzer Pack 40 is going to do a little bit of damage towards this T-70, but it's going to manoeuvre out as Panzerfaust goes down, and this Pack 40 may be able to get a good shot on this T-70 here. It needs to hit the next shot or it will be out of range. It does hit the next shot, and there's probably only one shot left in it. Oh, another miss by the Pack 40. They need to get some accuracy on that beast. And there we go, that's another shot, and that means that T-70 is stuck and it's gone. Very well played there by the German Pack 40. Destroyed the T-70 before it could do too much damage. It did do a bit of damage, but not enough to really threaten the approach there by the Germans, and the Germans will move forward with Panzer Grenadiers and Grenadiers. This half-track here with the 450 cals on it is doing a little bit of damage to this infantry, and this Pack 40 may want to move up a little bit and see if it can take this half-track out. It's in a good position now, it's in range, it's going to take a shot, I imagine. It does, it gets a nice rear shot there, it takes up half of the energy, but that half-track is going to manoeuvre out here, and that's unfortunate for the Pack 40 then. It's done some good damage. The Russians are manoeuvring here quite nicely around the sides of the Germans. The Germans are focusing more on the middle area as more units come back into play for the Germans. There's not really much on the field for the Russians at the moment. I mean, you have got this half-track with the 450 cals. You've got cons who have got the infantry kind of doctrine going, because it's got the PPSHs for the conscripts. It also has hit the dirt, I'd imagine, if it's the right doctrine that I'm thinking of, as Battle Phase 2 comes down for the Germans. The Russians are retaking this middle star, but that con squad has just taken a heavy hit from a rifle grenade as more fire goes down onto these cons, and I can only imagine that these cons are going to have to retreat out. Otherwise they're going to lose this con squad. This con squad would be a horrible loss to take after already losing a con squad and that T-70. Another con squad may get hit by a bundled grenade here if it's not careful. Bundled grenade goes in, takes two of the infantry out. Half-track though engages onto the infantry and does a little bit of decent damage there. But that con squad's going to have to retreat out, and Germans will start to raid this north and east side of this middle star. Try and take some more. As that con squad got completely wiped out. That's the second con squad that's been destroyed now, and you have to honestly think that that may be a final issue for the Russians. If the Russians end up losing this game, it could be down to a couple of con squads that have been completely destroyed. Got to worry about that. Grenadiers are taking this northeast point, northeast of the middle star that is, and the other Germans will take out this north point from the north star that is. We've got the support armour corps is up in place, which means that when enough fuel is in place for the Germans, they'll be able to bring out their first tank. I personally go with the Ostwind at this moment in time, but depending on what comes out for the Russians, that may want to change. At the moment, the doctrine by the Germans looks like it's the Panzer IV hull down command tank sort of Pack 43 deal, which is always nice to see. I've never seen a Pack 43 come down for the Germans though in a 1v1, so I'd imagine that that is probably one of the useless command points on this doctrine, but you never know what will happen in these games. Anyway, Cons engaged here by the HMG, which will retreat out. That half track finally does get its flame upgrade and will engage this infantry here while it has hit the dirt. Do a little bit of damage to this con squad as it takes a nice throw of an anti-tank grenade there to that half track. It does a little bit of damage, but you'll need to do a lot more damage to get rid of this half track, as the half track kind of just mows down some of this infantry. I think this Panzer Grenadier squad just took out another infantry squad, but I just missed. I'm sure I saw a red blob go down. I was focused on this fight here as the cons are still in a decent position. They're holding this ground. That half track is doing a very nice little job of really being annoying and just popping in and out, while the Germans have nothing really to counter it apart from the Pack 40, which is out of position. The Germans are retaking some of their ground, and with a couple more of these points, especially this fuel point here, the Germans could start to bring out something a little bit more heavy here to really hurt the Russians. Cons are taking some hits here from rifle grenades from these grenadiers, but unfortunately this half track has done a decent amount of work there as another con squad moves in here to have a little fight against some of these HMGs, which will do very little, unfortunately. Pack 40's out of place here, and it's pointed the wrong direction as Facebook annoys the shit out of me. And Panzer Grenadiers have moved in here. They're going to have to drop a rifle grenade to move those infantry out of the way. No rifle grenade at this moment in time, but they can't be. I don't think they can be suppressed or even pinned down, these infantry, when they're in hit the dirt mode, which is a fantastic little thing for them, as an Su-85 has just popped out into the field. I didn't even see that, and this is going to do some serious damage to some of this infantry. This Pack 40 needs to be in a position where it can take out this Su-85, because otherwise, as it does move up, this Su-85 could be a nice little turning point for the Russians here. As half track moved away. Here's half track. Oh, Pack 40 needs to turn and start to engage this Su-85 right now. Get at least one shot. Good shot there by the Pack 40. Just a little bit of damage, not enough to really damage the Su-85. As the Panzer Grenadiers sit on their point. Panzer Grenadiers need these Panzerschreck upgrades to be able to deal damage against these tanks and such. Because at the moment, although these infantry are doing a decent amount of work against this con squad, it's really quite annoying for the German infantry, because they can't seem to just displace any of these bloody things, as we have a Stug 3 on the field. Stug 3 Ausf-G assault gun, and as the Su-85's taken a really bad hit there from the Pack 40. Very well played there by the German, as he brings the Pack 40 in and destroys that Su-85 before it could do any real damage, as a T-70 comes into the field. That T-70 might be a little bit of an annoyance, so Molotov goes down onto those Panzer Grenadiers. Stug 3 does a nice little job taking out that half track, but it'll need to move to the north to take out this T-70 if it wants to do some real work, as this HMG is taking a lot of fire here from that T-70. But the Germans, I think, have broken the Russians at the moment. The Russians don't have much on the field. Let's focus on the Russians for a second here. T-70 is moving to the south. What do we have coming out? Nothing. HMG, Maxim HMGs coming out. 4 infantry squads, 2 of which are in dire straits, 1 of which is retreating. Other squads are doing a little bit of flanking and manoeuvring, but the Germans are in a very decent position here, and this could be switching to the way of the Germans at the moment, as the Germans are controlling. Well, they were controlling all the stars, but they're not anymore. The Russians have flanked quite nicely on both sides to take out these As the T-70 moves in to have a little bit of a fight with these Panzer Grenadiers, who have nothing to be able to stop them here, and that's unfortunate there. This Stug 3's taken a little bit of damage here from somewhere. I think probably one of the con squads before the cons disappeared. They will unfortunately be stationary for a little bit longer as the HMG pins down this squad here of cons. They haven't got the hit the dirt ability at the moment, which means that they obviously are pinned here. Whereas another HMG is taking up position here to try and engage the con squad, and they're both now fighting each other, which is always very nice to see as the HMG squad takes out another infantry. They've got the hit the dirt ability now, and they're able to not get pinned down. So what I'd do here, if it was me, I'd switch the fire to and pin down this HMG squad. Otherwise, you may see that, yes, I was about to say, the HMG squad now gets suppressed as two con squads come in to back up this HMG here, and they will run out and take a little bit of damage. A lot of damage, in fact, as the HMG really puts some fire down now. Grenadiers coming into play, Pack 40 in play, Stug 3 in play, as T-70 has moved right round the back here, as Panzer Grenadiers now will try and engage this con squad. As far as the Germans go, the con squad's hit the dirt ability is one of the most annoying abilities that the Russians have, because they, unless you use the munitions to get rid of them using the grenade abilities for the Panzer Grenadiers or the rifle grenade for the normal Grenadiers, then it's very difficult to displace some of these infantry. As Stug 3 has a little bit of a fight here with the T-70 as T-70 backs off. Stug's taken a bit of a hit there though from the con squad, and the Russians have started to regain some of their former territory as Grenadiers come back into the fight here. I need another rifle grenade to go right down on top of them there, and as it does, and the cons have taken a little bit more damage, but the Grenadiers have been suppressed, and they will have to move away, otherwise they will unfortunately get pinned down and will become useless. I think that was the T-70 going down that I just missed, apologies for that. We have a very nice little move there by the Stug. It's quite damaged though, as the Germans will start to retake some of their lost ground as Grenadiers are now engaged by an HMG. As the other HMG runs out of a position of a Molotov cocktail going down there, which was quite a nice little forethought. I don't think he obviously knew it was coming until it was too late. As HMG sets back up, starts to hit this Panzer Grenadier unit, who puts a nice little rifle grenade onto the position of the Grenadiers. HMG is going to come in, the half-track with the flame projectors will come in and start toasting some of those infantry, and we may see a Panzer IV command tank come out here, but it's possible that we might not. It depends what they want to choose. Su-85 doing some serious damage to this half-track. This half-track needs to move right this second, as I predicted. Command tank is in session. Command tank, if you've not seen my other videos, if you don't know anything about Company of Heroes 2, the command tank for the Germans is a very nice little unit, because what it does is it sits in an area that you control, and it gives pretty much every unit in that control a defense buff. So things that are maybe fighting against other infantry and such will all get a buff for defense, which means they become difficult to kill. This Panzer IV though this Pack 40 is in a bit of a trouble here, in the sense that this con squad may be able to do a little bit of damage. We also have mortars on the field, which also will do a little bit of damage, but I mean, the Germans have decided to fall back here and focus on the defense of this sector here, which is the west point from the middle star. Con's doing a little bit of damage to the infrastructure, or the outer structure as it were, of the Germans' territory, as Panzer IV command tank comes in to do a little bit of damage to these con squads. I say little, I mean half of their energy just went off in one hit there, as the second one destroys another 3, and a little funky little anti-tank grenade there manages to change direction in mid-air, which is obviously completely impossible, but this Pack 40 may want to try and do some damage here, as this Grenadier unit, has done a serious amount of damage to this Su-85, and this Pack 40 may be able to get its second Su-85 kill here, but it's just out of range, and it needs to come back into range, but this Grenadier unit is going to be able to take this Su-85 out surely. Oh no, it's not. It's only going to do enough damage to destroy its engine. Grenadier unit's been fantastic, really, as the half-track comes in and does a little bit of damage to these cons. This tank is absolutely smashed, isn't it? We had no front gun, it had no engine, and I think its gunner, or if it even had a gunner, was dead. Pretty much everything about that tank was dead apart from the fact that it was still alive. Command tank's taken damage there, but it's going to move back into play and it should come in and use its buff here. The buff only works though is if you're in your own territory, so as soon as this territory captures, buff is enabled. There's no point trying to sit here and utilise this buff as best as possible as mines go down there. That's a nice little sneaky mindset there, because we have another Su-85 on the field, and if it comes into that middle route, then it could possibly run over there, so we've got to keep an eye on that little middle sector. I wish I could put a little mark on it or something. Can I mark that with 1 or something? I can mark those mines with Control 1 or Control 2. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to come back to those mines and see if they're still there later on in the game. Okay, Su-85 on the field. We've got some infantry moving up now towards this middle area. This battle has really been in the middle at the moment. I mean, we're 30 minutes in. We've got a bunker coming into play for the Germans. We've got fixing and repairing and all kinds of new stuff. More pioneers coming into play. Su-85 doing a little bit of damage to something. Panzer IV doing a little bit of damage to those cons. We got a strafing run or an artillery attack coming in here. Strafing run. Infantry taking damage. But as I said before, the buff that this Panzer IV gives did a nice way of not getting those infantry destroyed there, which was very, very nice. As we got some infantry mortars forming up here. Su-85 is not doing much at the moment, as the Panzer IV is able to fend off that little attack there from the Russians. Panzer Grenadiers are going to move out towards this this star being captured. Oh no, they're not. They're going to change direction and move towards this middle star. Mortars are being put down. There they're going. Right on top of that half track, and it did very little damage, unfortunately. Grenadiers are moving to the south. Pack 40 coming into play. Buff is enabled, as you can see by the fact that pretty much every unit, apart from those Grenadiers don't have the buff for some reason. Strange. Just walked out of the sector, that's why. Pack 40 is engaging the Su-85 here, doing a little bit of damage, but not enough to really. As a Molotov goes down on top of those Pack 40s, and Pack 40 is going to get away with that. Mortars on top of that. Very, very pleasant as the MG kind of cuts that route off as the Grenadiers get suppressed. A little bit of a flank here from the Russians. Those points are being captured, but they're not going to be very useful for the Russians because they're not in the area. Su-85 is going to turn to engage these Panzer Grenadiers, who have just literally walked right into a massive pile of Russian bodies. And a little bit of a grenade goes down, does a little bit of damage. Panzer IV command tanks coming into play. If it's not careful, this Su-85 is going to do a little bit of damage here, and in fact the Command tank's fallen back as a Grenadier squad comes in. Might be able to get a Panzerfaust off here. It does. Gets a nice hit. They will retreat out. They have to retreat out. They can't stay there. Pack 40's taken some serious hits and is destroyed by that HMG. Well placed there from the Russian to take out that Pack 40, but it's going to be in a little trouble here with this flame half track as it falls back. Grenadiers will start to re-engage onto these cons who have hit the dirt. HMG's in place to cover if those infantry come back in. Su-85 is moving on to the left now of those little clump of trees. Those mines are still in play. They have not done any damage though just yet, as the Pack 40's been stolen by the Russians. That might be useful later on. Turn it around, put it up against some armour. The two con squads who have hit the dirt are being just stubborn in general, taking as much fire as possible, taking very little damage. Field gun on the field as well for the Russians. Probably a decent counter here against these two tanks. HMG are taking a little bit damage. Su-85 doing some more damage to the Stug 3 here. It's going to have to fall back here or it's going to take some more damage. Smoke comes down. Pack 40's on the field, Su-85's on the field. Doing some damage against this Stug 3 here. So look at that range on that Su-85. The Russians have done a really nice push here onto the Germans, taking this sector, and they're going to push even further here, destroying this bunker in the meantime. A little bit of a waste. It did its job though, I think that bunker. It did a lot of repairing onto the German infantry, sorry. So, here we are. Let's just pause for a second here and just have a look at what is going on at this stage. We're 32 minutes into the replay. We've got a Russian situation where they've got Su-85s, they've got HMGs, they've got a nice little mortar squad going, they've got 2 HMGs in fact, field gun, Pack 40 and a couple of con squads with their hit the dirt ability of doing really well. They've got a couple of flankers, cons on the right, another set of rifles on the left, first time we've seen rifles. HMG's in a good position there to cover if they don't move. Now the Germans, on the German side, we've got the command tank, we've got the Stug 3 who took a bit of damage from the Su-85. We've got Panzer Grenadiers, we've got 3 Pioneer squads on the field. What phase are we at? We're up to battle phase 3. I think that the Panzer Corps just come down, which means that there's enough money for a Panther to come out anytime soon. Let's see the state of play. We've got a mortar team also coming into Germany. At the moment, the ground is in the German favour, because the Germans do have connected territory, whereas the Russians don't. They've got 3 territories out of territory here, but in a way that's good for them, because obviously it's only just been taken by the Russians. The Germans obviously don't have the ability to have those spots anymore. What the Russians are seeming to do is to move right down the middle of the Germans. Never really a wise decision to do at the moment, because obviously the Germans are a decent defending team. They're able to set up defences with Pack 40s and bunkers and such and do a nice little job. Unfortunately though, they've been broken at the moment and they're in retreat. Let's carry on and see what happens. So at the moment the Germans have the lead, but I think the Russians are on their way back to trying to take some of the ground that has been in their control before. Cons moving up here. They will sit on this point and then hit the dirt, I'd imagine. Yep, there we go. Rifles pinned down from that HMG squad. Very nice little play. Command tank is going to come in and try and give some damage off to these cons. Nice little kill there for the command tank. Mortars being dropped now on top of these infantry. Probably a good ploy here for the Germans to employ those mortars, because it'll do a little bit more damage than HMGs and such will do if those infantry in the hit the dirt mode, which they pretty much always are. Indians are taking this point back. This command tank comes in. It may destroy this infantry if it's not careful. Literally, that con squad is just sitting and doing as much damage as possible. The con squad is completely wiped out there. That's unfortunate. Mortars going down on top of those cons, but mortars are being put back really here, and that con squad, that mortar squad, is nearly dead here. Pioneer squad's completely destroyed onto that building, and the middle star is being taken as the Panther comes into play. Not a bad little tank to have brought out just about now. Field gun is in a position here. It may move forward a little bit, see if it can do a little bit of damage. Command tank is coming around the back. It's in a decent position to do a little bit of damage as the Germans are out there pushing out here on a lot of fronts. This Panther is sitting doing nothing. It needs to come in to do some damage here, or this command tank may start to suffer. Panther comes into play. Su-85 is taking a hit or two. He's taking another hit. Railway gun comes into play, very well placed, right onto that middle position. 2 more rounds will come in a second. 1 to the left. A bit of a waste, unfortunately. Something's gone over my mines that I've placed down. That's not very nice, is it? Mines are destroyed by... What went over those? It was a half track. Okay, half track went over the mines, got destroyed. Grenadiers are in trouble here. Command tank's been completely wiped out. Panther's not taken a hit at all. Done a little bit of damage. Grenadiers must fall back at this point. Come on, fall back. There we go. Half track was not really utilised there. HMG's taking some serious hits here and will retreat out. Field gun, Pack 40 and Su-85 for the Russians are doing a very nice little job. The Pack 40 stolen from the Germans earlier on has really helped to defend this area as mortars are dropped onto these infantry, doing some nice little damage there. Well, have we got anything coming out here? We've got a rocket coming out for the Germans. That may do a little bit of damage against some of these infantry. Might be a wise move, that. Wise move indeed. Stug 3 is repaired and back on the field. The Russians are doing the same for their Su-85 as this left. This West Star is going down for the Russians, or for the Germans. Rockets in play. Grenadiers taking hits. Mortar team is doing a very nice little job here of doing a little bit of area damage to the Russian forces. Half track's doing some damage against the rifles, but the half track was buttoned there, unfortunately. There's rockets going down here. Where is the rockets going? I think it's going to go into this area here. And it does. Very well placed rocket set. Does a little bit of damage to the HMGs. Con squads are close to being taken out. The field gun is in a very half decent state. Su-85, another one onto the field, which will be nice when the Germans spot that, as mortars carry on being put down, as the other Su-85 is finally in place where it has been repaired, and the Germans are going to move forward here and take this point. Panther is sitting at the moment doing not much, as the Su-85 is going to move in here to take a little bit. I think it was thinking of doing a little bit of damage towards that half track, but it's kind of decided against it as those rockets land on top of that MG unit, and that'll have to fall back because it's now down very close to being destroyed there. So the Russians have control of three of the 3 stars, should I say. The Russians controlled the middle ground. The Germans look like they're doing the manoeuvring around here as Grenadiers. Both sets will move to the left here. Grenadiers taking some hits there from the 2 field gun Pak 40, and another mortar has come up, and rockets come down here, probably in that middle area, I'd imagine. Yep, nice little set of rockets there. The field gun has been destroyed. Pak 40 is still into play. Stug 3 is coming up onto the field. The Su-85 is doing some damage. Stug 3 is going to take 2 hits and retreat out. Panther is coming in. It's taken 1 hit. Done a decent hit against that Pak 40, disabling it completely. It's going to rush this Su-85, which is always a nice little manoeuvre, but the other Su-85 may come in behind it here, and the Su-85 is going to do a little bit of flanking, taking a little bit of damage. The Panther's taking a lot of damage though, and it may be knocked out here. It may be knocked out if it's not careful, and it will get away for the time being as the Su-85s do enough damage there to really push that pushback, as it were. Sorry, that's not very great English, to be honest. Conn's taking some damage from mortars there as a second rocket's coming for the Germans. I imagine they'll stick their rockets right down on this middle section here as the half-track does some nice little damage to those Cons. Rifles coming in behind here. Those rockets did a little bit of damage. I mean, that half-track, the mortar was taken out, the MG had taken a couple of hits, but unfortunately for the Russians, they had moved a lot of their units to the back, as the Germans are now slowly starting to get their forces back up. That Panther is still in a serious state, as an HMG is in position to watch this point on the left. The Germans did take their star back on the left and will get engaged here by the HMG, but it may not have enough time to set up here, as the Grenadier squad will get engaged by the Su-85. The Panzer Grenadier squad will get pinned down. Rifle grenade does go down, but the HMG squad is still intact, as the Grenadiers will move out even further. They will flank right round the side. Have nothing though to really help Panzer Grenadiers. The Panzer Grenadiers will also move. They may be able to get down a bundled grenade onto this HMG, but they don't have enough resources to do so, and I suggest they will be moved out here. This railway gun comes down, does some serious damage to that Su-85, but the second round and the third round are going to miss, unfortunately, for the Germans. Just watch it go down. Yep, missed again. The best thing you could do with that railway gun is if you can get some kind of scout right through their base and just drop it on the base, as we got the Katyusha rocket launcher coming in, and it will drop some rockets right on this middle section. Sporadic rockets though, I'd call them, because they're not accurate. They're just kind of built for area effect. As Molotov goes down, Grenadiers may be able to have got their Panzerfaust off, and that Pak 40 that came in just a second ago has taken out that Su-85. Good job there by that Pak 40. It may even be, no, it's not the same Pak 40 that was taken by the Russians. It's a new one altogether. Su-85's taken a lot of damage there, and it's in a bit of a state, as is the Panther, to be honest. The Panther's still in a state. Rockets have moved forward, but they will move back now. Mortar's going to drop down. I think that was a grenadier unit has just walked through fire and got killed. How unfortunate. No infantry here though for the Germans, and they're going to lose their Pack 40. They may even lose this mortar squad if they're not careful. The mortar squad will get away. 2 grenadier units coming back into the field as that half-track with the flame edition will come in to try and take some of this infantry out. So, what's happened in the last 11 minutes since my pause at the middle stage? Well, the Germans have lost pretty much all the ground, but in effect, the Russians are the people that, or the team that are in effect handicapped at the moment because they've got very little resources and very little manpower and things coming out into the field. I mean, they have the rockets, of course, and they have their Su-85, but apart from that, they've got nothing else at the moment. I mean, they've got a couple of infantry units moving around, some of which have been taken out, some of which are back at base. But I mean, in general, there's not much going on as rockets come down right on top of that con squad there that's hit the dirt, and they're just going to have to fall back. Great manoeuvre there by Helping Hands, using those rockets to his ability. As those rifles come in and take or give fire to those grenadiers who have stolen the I think it's the DP-28, I think it is, which is the Russian machine gun, automatic machine gun, as a command tank comes into play. Where's the Panther? The Panther is almost at full health here, and this could be the move here that makes the victory here for the Germans, because the Germans are not going to get this point just yet. They will obviously have neutralised it, so the points are not moving. But at the moment, the Germans have the manpower, have the ability. Now move this Panther forward, move this command tank forward, and capitalise on the fact that the Russians are struggling at the moment, really struggling. The ground is slowly going down as the Su-85 comes back into the field. This may be the... Let's just pause it here because this could be the last final move of the game. Su-85 is going to come in here, I'd imagine, and try to engage. And the outcome of this battle will be the outcome of the game. If the Su-85 goes down, the Russians will GG straight away. If the Germans lose one of these tanks, it'll be fine, but if they lose both of them, then the Germans may feel that that might be it. We'll see. So here we go. Su-85 hits the Panther, which bounces. Another one that does no damage. This Su-85 is at the moment is doing no damage to any of these tanks. The Su-85 is now in trouble here, and this Su-85 may be down. As even the Panzer IV's focusing now on this rocket team, as the Panther takes a little bit of hits here. Panther could be destroyed if it's not careful, as the Panzer IV has taken some serious hits. It's going to come in and try and finish this Su-85 off, and this Panzer IV is going to be destroyed. How unfortunate there, because that Su-85 was close to being destroyed. Panther here could be also destroyed by these rifles here, if these rifles can get some kind of anti-grenade come off on here. These rifles haven't got their PTRSH, as those rockets come right down on top of those infantry. Very light rocket barrage. Oh no! The Su-85's knocked that Panther out, and that could be GG for the Germans here, as the Russians' Su-85 has literally taken out 2 tanks there, along with the infantry that has suddenly sprung out of nowhere as more rockets come down. And the Germans are losing here, and that could be GG from the Germans' Helping Hands, because there's no tanks left on the field. There's only a few infantry, and that Su-85 being on the field has really helped out. Even the rocket artillery is still in place. And points are starting to fall again for the Germans as the rifles take this middle ground. So, what's it to be? And there we go. GG from Helping Hands. So, that was a great battle. 47 minutes. Really enjoyable battle. The Germans decide that they haven't got enough to try and defeat these Russians. And a GG is called. Now, let me go back to the start. At the start, the Russians had a lot of the ground. They had flanked well on the left and right side. The Germans would slow out the blocks, which is normal their way. It's just what they do. The Germans are slow to begin with. And we saw a nice little to and fro in from the Russians and the Germans. Russians taking the ground and losing the ground, going through the lines of the territory and taking back territories, and territories getting knocked out of sync for the Germans. And then the Germans pushed in the middle. They pushed really well. They brought Pack 40 out when they needed it to destroy the T-70, which was inevitably going to come. Scout cars and the half-tracks for the Russians were destroyed quite easily. The Germans still have their half-track here. The half-track's got 29 kills, so it did a really decent job. But in all honesty, when the Su-85s came out, and the Germans had not much, I think they only had the command tank out at the time, or even the Stug 3, I can't remember which one it was that came out first. I think it was the Stug. The Su-85 is always going to win that battle. But with the Pack 40 doing some serious damage, it kind of evened itself out in the middle stages, and the game was close, and it still was close even up towards the end there. Now, when the Panther came out for the Germans, I really did think Helping Hands would do a really good job of utilising that Panther, going round the back and taking out some of the infantry, some of the anti-tank weapons, some of the Su-85s. And in reality, that didn't really work out, because every time the Su-85 was in battle with the Panther seemed to just miss the shots when it needed to hit them the most. The Stug did a little bit of damage, got taken out. The Panzer IV command tank did a bit of damage, but then got taken out. And that Panther was really unlucky at the end there, where it came in, it tried to do the damage. It nearly got the Su-85, but the Su-85 decided that it was time to push the Panther back, and the Panther moved back and was destroyed. In effect, that was the winning move by Con, the Russian player, and he did a really good job there. Really enjoyed this battle as well, because it was very even throughout. I mean, when the Germans thought that they had the advantage, they pushed a little bit and they got pulled back, and they got pushed back by the Russians, and they did the same. They pushed forward and the Germans pushed them back. And literally this middle line here, where you see the two red and blue lines, that is really the line of the battle that was literally fought over the whole map, which is the really you want this ground. This star here is probably the main point, but these two points here became the focal point, as you can see by the fact that there's explosions and all kinds of stuff in this middle area as the rockets came down. Now, the use of rockets from both sides were very well played. Unfortunately for the Germans, their rockets are very... I mean, the area of effect for the rockets and the Germans is quite annoying, because you only get 10 high explosive rockets, and it's only a small distance before the rockets have to move up. Whereas the Russians, they get to carry they get to fire 16, and they also get to fire further, but they are obviously not as accurate as these multiple rocket launchers for the Germans. So the use of rockets were decent. I think the Russians didn't really need them. The Germans definitely needed them, especially with the mortars, because the infantry units, when the Russian infantry units, the Con squad in particular, when they got into a point and they tried to capture it, they literally just hit the dirt, and any fire that came in did little or no damage whatsoever. So when those mortars and when those rockets came in, it gave the Germans a little bit of an edge, but in all honesty, the game was literally down to that last tank battle, which was very luckily won by Con, but enjoyable to watch nonetheless. Anyway, that was a really good battle. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad that the people on the coh2.org forum said that it was good enough for me to cast. Here is that cast. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.